once again, this is another four questions with top comedians and entertainers worldwide, and tonight is an exceptional treat. We've got Phil Nichol. Hello, Phil.
Hello, hey Tony. Here we are. We're in the well. We're the Retford Baptist Church, which is where I saw my career going.
Yeah.
When I was 17 and decided to become an actor. Really.
You were like, right, yeah. Because you all need motivation at 17 to really...
Was to hit the Retford Baptist Church. Here I am.
Come on.
This is landed.
You can tell he's back. This is very much modern Baptist church decor.
That is Baptist Church. What do you call that?
I would call that...
Is it green? Beige?
It just like Magnolia Plus.
It's unclimbable paint as well,
yeah.
So there's no way you can get out.
This is sin-free.
Sin-free paint.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I'm here.
As pure as your conscience.
You know, what's the point of the Lord dying if we didn't sin? We would have died for nothing. So I say, get out there, sin.
Preach it.
Making it worth it.
Doing your bit for the extension of grace.
The extension of grace. That's what I call it.
We've got to feel
that was a bit rude.
So, 4 questions now. Phil, first, just a general. How are you doing anyway? Generally,
good.
Okay.
Good. I just came back from the comic boxing charity event for Keenan Musgrove, a little boy in the northeast, a little 3-year-old boy who had I think it's called a neuroblastoma cancer, and we're trying to raise money for him so he can go to the States. And I got my lights knocked out by Tom Hutton from the Noise Next Door. Thanks, Tom. But so I feel good. Slightly bruised, but feel good. It was a lovely, brilliant event that Gavin Humphreys and his brother Kai Humphreys, who's a comedian, put on in the town of Blythe, and it was exceptional. So I feel good.
That sounds
I feel like
great.
I'm doing something.
No, mate, well done for putting your face on the line.
A lot of people would pay to punch me, so I thought, I have made that a reality for one young man called Tom, and he did it well.
He did it. Good work, Tom.
I'd like to say I'll never forget it, but I will never remember it. The irony was all the other boxers were so injured the next day, going, "Oh, my arms are sore." My fight didn't last long enough for me to actually get sore. So thanks for that, Tom. I felt great the next day.
You had a game plan.
That's
correct. Yeah.
That's
great, because that's what sometimes I think, you know, when you get these exhibition matches and they offer loads of money to one person and they go, well, there's loads of money, and the fighter doesn't really want to do it, but they go, look, you can have it. You can just go, I'll do it. Obviously you didn't do it for money, you did it for the charity, and well done, but you can just go in there and just fall over, can't you, really?
Yeah. Well, that's comedy. You give me money, I'll go on stage and fall over.
And yeah.
You've seen my act.
Yeah, that's it. And you dance around it.
You know, it's one of those things where it was good. It was good to focus the mind and to train. And I didn't train as hard as he did. No, I didn't train as hard as I should have. But at the same time, we were concentrating, all of us, is for a very specific reason, and not even just a general charity. It was a very, very specific reason to try and save a precious human life.
Yeah.
So if you can't boil it down any other way, and not to be fancy about it, that's what we're trying to do. There's a little boy who's very ill, and we're trying to save him.
Because I was gigging with Kai the night before, which is the Saturday before the Sunday night, and yeah, he was saying like they'd sold out way before 800 tickets. Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting one, isn't it? The fact that, because obviously seeing comedians fight, which you, as a concept, you go, it's kind of funny, kind of makes sense, but it's not obviously the best of what comedians do. They're not. They're known as lovers, not fighters. But then you kind of go, what a great concept. You could take it further and do stuff like, I'd love to see like comedians versus reviewers or something like that.
Well, there was a couple of reviewers there, and one of them was invited to fight someone.
Brilliant.
The next year. I'm not going to say who because I don't want to, but that, you know, it is a funny thing. We know there was few comments made about it afterwards, which were quickly withdrawn when they realized what we were actually doing it for.
Yeah.
I think it's easy to see any charity giving as being as a pat on your own shoulder and go, well, I did a good thing, I gave charity. And it is easy to see it that way, but at the same time, it's still better than not doing anything and giving. And I think good comedians are naturally cynical. So therefore there'd be people who weren't involved who would be naturally cynical and drawn to make fun of it, which I think is kind of the comedian's your job to take things apart. But in this case, it was such a huge event and outpouring of love and charity that you can't really knock it. You can't knock it. You look like a bad guy if you knock it. But I think that's true for any charities, and you know that includes Red Nose Day and all that stuff. Obviously, some people use these things to build their careers and highlight their own special talents. But if you really boil it down, if you've got your mind set on the reason you're doing it, then it stops being about you. Yeah. Even as you're getting smashed in the face and in the head and made to look like an absolute schmo. But it's not like I haven't had that before. So it's not the first time. I've got two older brothers who picked on me from the day I was born.
Oh man, so yeah, you like, you flashback. I love it. So 4 questions. Okay. As you know, it's favourite memory of comedy or entertainment and worst memory. Please,
favorite memory. There are so many. You know, I've had a 30-year-long career, and there's so many. From it depends if it's one of my first gigs. From winning, you know, with Corky and the Juice Pigs, which is the group I was in, a trio, and we won a comedy competition on TV, hosted by Eugene Levy, who was a Canadian comedy star, who's went on to be the father in American Pie, and a major Hollywood movie star. But for this particular interview, I won the Comedy Award, the Edinburgh Comedy Award, at the time the IF.Comedy Award, or previously the Perry Award. In 2006, and I wasn't trying to win an award. I was in a little tiny place called The Stand, but the best bit of that wasn't actually winning the award, but it made me realize that how people, you know, you can never be sure what people think of you, and I tend to lean toward being a little bit paranoid. And I realized, people actually genuinely like me, and that was a lovely thing. But the best bit of it for me, and the lovely story, is that I was able to take my mother, who at the time would have been late 70s, maybe 79, I was invited at Christmas to Buckingham Palace for a drink and Christmas cheer with the Queen and the royal family. And because my mother was the exact same age as the Queen, we were put in the very first line of people that met her as she came out. And she didn't meet everyone. They chose like 3 lines of people. And I was able to introduce my mother, my little Scottish working class mother, who was alive during the war, to introduce her. And when the Queen came to me, I was joking with Mum because that show was called The Naked Races, and it was a true story of how I took my clothes off and chased some guys down, some skinheads down the streets in Amsterdam. So I kept telling my Mum, I'm going to tell the Queen when she asked me what I did to be there, I was going to tell her I'm a stripper. And my Mum was going, don't you
this is my moment.
And so, to be honest, I'm not a royalist. Just, you know, and it's I'm quite clear about it. I say that I'm not a royalist. I'm a realist. But for me to be able to, after years of being in the business, my parents are they're devout, born-again Christians in the Brethren faith. They did want me to be a performer. They had real issues with it. Growing up, I ran away and went to acting school, and to get to that point of achievement for me was a magical moment to watch my mum curtsy in front of the Queen, a woman her own age, and they had a lovely conversation about how wonderful Toronto is, which is where my mum lives. So for me, that's a magic memory for me.
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
Magic memory for me. And it was surreal.
Yeah, a moment, like, you know, and the interest of that gift was to you, but then, you know, to have that moment with your mother, which kind of brings everything full circle in terms of life, reconciling your own journey.
Yes, it does. It actually, and it made them. And I was able to. My dad came with me, but we were only allowed one guest, and I took them out. I was in a play called One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Yeah. At one point, I was able to take them to the Ivy restaurant. Yeah. My parents are. My dad's a builder. My parents are very, very humble people. They didn't even know what the Ivy was. They never heard of it. Yeah. They don't watch. All they watch on television is hymn sing and Coronation Street. There's nothing more heavy than that. If anything with violence or sex or anything, that goes turned off immediately.
Yeah.
So we're sitting in the Ivy, and my mum ordered the shepherd's pie because it was the cheapest thing. I was like, no, we're in the Ivy. And they don't drink and they don't smoke, so they were just saying, look, I was going, look, there's so and so. They don't know who anyone is. So these are all fantastic moments for me. But my mum and dad actually stopped. They put their knife and fork down and said, your mum and I want to say something to you. And I was like, And my dad said, we just wanted to say that we're sorry we didn't give you more support when you were younger and you were pursuing this career, because we wonder where you might be, what you might have been now. And I was like, I've just been to Buckingham Palace and now we're sitting in the Ivy. So, I mean, I feel relatively successful at this point.
Yeah.
I'm able to buy you whatever. My dad had pedigree because it was the second most expensive thing. And he likes difference. So they didn't eat that, and but that was a really nice moment.
Yeah.
That was for me. That was you want to make your parents and your family proud, and I was happy to do that.
Totally. We don't know how much it's almost in moments where you realise some of the subconscious motivations and things like that. But also, I love how vulnerable you are with saying that. But all performers, particularly comedians, it's hard to unpack why we do it. But there is a place of like going. We want whether it's a validation from an audience, for a joke on the community that we find ourselves in with other comedians. So there's something amazing that I can see if you've been given the Perrier Award, the IF.Comedy Award, saying you have smashed it, you are top of your game, we all love you, and that's just wonderful. That's just wonderful. Just saying, it's okay, Phil, you're brilliant, that's great, and you made some good decisions to get here.
I mean, it's been all downhill since then. Absolutely, it was a great moment. And I think it'll never be that good again. Next question.
Yeah, that was all wonderfully positive. So the shy side of that then. Worst memory or hardest thing?
Well, hardest thing, I guess it comes back to this is in performance. The hardest thing. I think the best comedians do make it look really easy.
Yeah.
They make it look really easy. And when you're having a killer gig and everything's going right, there's no better feeling in the world. Similarly, there's no worse feeling in the world when you are not connecting at all. And I did a TV warm-up at the Teddington Studios, and I was filling in for Junior Simpson, who was with the same agent as me. And I was doing a TV warm-up, and I can't remember the name of the show, but it was an urban show, sitcom, and it was based around an African dictator who had been given asylum in Britain and was living in North London, and still living like the life of a dictator. So that was the setup, right? And it was a funny show, and it was produced by one of the guys from the Fast Show, and it was like it was a good, solid show. Yeah. But it was being made for sort of an urban audience in Teddington. So when I got there, I realized, okay, this is not my natural audience to be motivated in front of, and TV warm-ups are difficult anyway. But I also didn't have that kind of natural connection to this London urban audience, being from the countryside of Canada and being very, very like a nerd. I don't speak street. I don't do that. Yeah. But anyway, I give it a shot. I'm a human being, and so I had to do. There was 3-hour-long taping, and there looked like there was about 15 links I had to do.
So that's when you got to come on in between,
and in between each scene and get them up. And after the very first or second link, I could see that this wasn't going very well because I didn't have the language or the understanding to really do anything that meant anything to them, and I was losing them. So I had my guitar, I was struggling, and I struggled all the way through, and then started just I couldn't think of anything, and all my material was breaking down, and then the floor manager was losing faith in me, telling me to sit down, and it spiraled worse and worse and worse. And so by 2 hours in, I'm mortified. Every time they go cut, the whole audience breaks into conversation, and I'm like, hey, everybody, just like talking, just like yelling into a void of conversation, and people actually heckling me in a television taping. People actually heckling me, shut up, mate. Move on next, and it's just television taping. So what they really want is the audience to be quiet, for me to be talking, and have stuff going. So I got my guitar out, and I said, look, is there anyone here who's like, and I've been bombing. Is there anyone here who's got any talent? And they're like, what? Look, oh, shut up, mate. But I said, no, is there anyone, like, I'll let you guys entertain each other. I'm trying to turn everything. And this one put her hand up, and he does, the guy next to her, he does, and I'm like, oh, and I'm thinking, oh, here we go. She's dobbing in a guy that can't do anything. And he was like, no, no, no. And he took the guitar, she passed the guitar over, and then I passed the microphone, like a cordless mic over. She held the mic, he started playing the guitar, and he was pretty good. The whole place stopped. And this young black kid started singing "Summertime," the song, "Summertime," in the most amazing deep baritone, bass baritone. Summertime, like amazing, like absolutely show-stopping, amazing. And I'm sitting there while the whole crowd goes, "Wow!" because I've been bombing so badly. And then the guitar, like, mic came back over to me, and I just went, I'll just sit here then. And it got so bad. It got so bad that the lead actor, and I can't remember the actor's name now, I wish I could. He's the guy that's playing the African general, stepped out of character, which is highly unusual, came forward, put his arm around me and said, "Listen, everyone," and they all shut up. "Phil here is trying to do his best, and I think you could be a little bit more polite." That's how bad it got. So I left that night, and I lived in Surbiton, and I walked about halfway home because I couldn't bear, and bawled my eyes out, and got back home, and got up the next day and called my agent and said I was quitting comedy.
That's it.
I was never going to do comedy ever again. The worst.
Wow. And that's
the worst.
Yeah.
And that's only one of many, many, many horrible moments. I mean, there's been many horrible moments.
Oh, but that's supremely, wonderfully, deliciously, horribly difficult and well done again, because, like, the thing with the TV Woman is the fact that, like, it's bad enough if it doesn't work, but the fact that you've got to go on and on again, and you know you've got to go on, and they know, and it's just that, it's just...
after like 3 or 4, and I was looking at the going, this is going to go on for hours. And I have to, and every time I came back on, they're like, oh, no. And they were a loud vocal, and they were, with another artist. So the up bit is that the next week, when my friend Junior Simpson went back to do the warm-up, they go, "Oh, Junior, come back on here. We'll give you anything not to have that guy back." And I think my agent thought, well, we should maybe do this all the time. We'll send you in, and then we'll ask for more money to have him back. You go in and ruin it, and we'll get Junior back. It was really disheartening. It was horribly disheartening. I had to sneak out through the back door, and it was the most embarrassing thing in the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Motivation then. What's because obviously
motivation for work.
Yeah, for work, for the creative process, for comedy, for.
Well, I've got it's a double-sided thing. I don't like taking apart a comedy and how it works in general, but I was raised by in a family, a very close family, of funny Scottish people, but they were. My dad was a builder who worked from when he was a teenager. He lost his father when he was young and had to go out and became an apprentice cabinet maker, which he was very good at. He worked 2 jobs a day until I was like 13 or 14. I had 3 sons. Took them to Canada. I worked really, really hard. So work ethic, Christian, Scottish Christian Protestant.
That kind of Presbyterian work. It's there, isn't it?
It was there. And I think he was like that anyway before he became a Christian himself. So I had that as work hard for everything you do. But at the same time, I was always a bit of an artsy. I've always at age 12, I went to a school trip to see The Tempest at Stratford in Canada, and when Nicholas Pennell descended as Ariel, this room full of kids, all the buses from all the different schools were like throwing stuff at each other and pinching each other's, being kids. When Ariel descended with the big wings, the whole place went quiet, and I thought, that is what I want to do. And so I moved around a lot as a child, and I think that thing you talk about being accepted was I realized, wow, you can shut everyone up by doing that. And so that was my motivation for. I want to try. It'd be big-headed of me to say that I've ever achieved that, but I think there is a little bit of me that knows when I'm in front of an audience and I've got them, and they're all quiet, that I'm doing my job. But I think it's important. I've come to sort of. I never used to give it much value because I always thought of comedy as a craft that you can learn, that anyone can learn, and I I've actually in the past like 10 years maybe started thinking, well, actually it's an art form.
It is
And
an
it's
art form.
At its highest, but every art form you have to start with a craft. Visual artists have to know their craft.
Yeah.
And musicians have to know their craft, and it takes you, 10,000 hours, whatever you want to look at it.
Yeah.
And I also realize it'd be really nice. It's really nice when I see a comedian who's working on such an amazing level that it's a work of art.
Yeah.
And most comedians are so self-deprecating; they'll never go, "A work of art. It's just jokes," and come up with more. It's so disposable, but I think they undervalue it a lot. I think we undervalue
I agree.
The practical application of laughter in people's lives cannot be underestimated.
It's so important. Like laughter and joy, and is the catharsis that it happens through people laughing, and that sense of togetherness is totally healing. But I really agree with you, Rob, that it is an art form. It is a piece of theatre. But because it's seen as low art, because it happens in pubs and it's so versatile, people somehow, like, culturally, it's maybe not given the status that maybe opera or theatre or other forms of art are given. But you think you were there in Stratford, like when that, when Shakespeare had the theatre in Stratford, it was the peasantry, it was everybody came, and only now in retrospect we go, how amazing was that as a piece of art. But at the day, it was just seen as, it was just plays and anyone can go.
Yeah, anyone can go. Well, you just sit in there, throw stuff. Yeah, in the Restoration, they used to actually, rich people would pay to sit on stage and be a part of it and comment. Obviously, it's hard to explain that to people, but because I studied theatre history as part of my training, and you realize it goes all the way back to the great Greek theatre, which is the opera and everything has come from that.
Yeah.
They had these great Greek dramas, which was basically the moral, giving a moral system to guide the population.
Yeah.
And then you'd have the satirists and the cynics would sit in the back and go, look at the hair on the guy. They go, and then after they were finished, they'd get up and do a shorter version of a play which would satirize what the drama that went on, to relieve everyone. So everyone would go home and go, oh, we're
yeah.
They go home thinking, oh well, come on, let's get real. And it is based in that.
Yeah.
It is a natural human instinct to go, well, come on, guys. Now you see it in the greatest cultures with the best sense of humor. The best sense of humor has saved cultures, and I feel fortunate being a Scottish person, because the Scots have a gallows humor. Frankie Boyle and you can go through Kevin Bridges there.
Yeah.
It's funny, but it's searing, and it doesn't. And that's why you laugh at heartache, and that gets you through. And I really believe that. And I think there's too much cynicism and censorship on comedy, what you can and can't say and make jokes about. You need to make jokes about the hardest things.
That actually go in that place, because that's just something redemptive and flips it. Totally. And I find interesting your story, that idea that you had a moment when you were a kid there at the theatre, and the guy descended, and because I do think anyone can learn like you can learn the craft, you can learn the techniques, but there is gifting, and there is maybe even something more nebulous even than just talent. Whether you call it calling or destiny, whatever, but you were the kid that went, rather than going, because all the kids went, wow, but you were the kids that went, wow, I want to be part of that, and that's something that.
Yeah, I'm a kind of a realist and not the most spiritual person, in the sense that I think that we are. I mean, this is an amazing thing that we're sitting here, and all the complexities. And whether you think it's a God-given thing or it's science, it's pretty much the same. It's an amazing coincidence that we've got these things. So some people have natural singing ability because their parents did, whatever their chemical and physical makeup is, that allows them to do that. Other people have the drive that makes them into that thing. And I tend to find that the most creative, most artistic people are the people that are the most humble about it. The people that are most driven are the ones that we see up there, and they tend to be the people that are driven to do it. But there are people that do it because they need to do it, and the drive is that they don't have the same drive.
Yeah.
So I can see it at both places.
Yeah, that kind of creation of art as a I've just got to do it. Yeah, that makes total
Yeah.
sense. Final question then. So that's a motivation, for comedy and entertainment. So something, you had a moment also that work ethic from your dad, but motivation for life, that thing that gets you out of bed in the morning.
Well, I mean, I think with I struggle with life sometimes because I've got too much time to think. I have a very charming existence where I work doing this, and if I allow myself to be, I try not to be lazy. I think that's been, I don't know whether it's my chemistry, but it's been drilled into me. Don't be lazy. I must be doing something, and I'm happy if I'm working on something. Yeah. So I always try to have I have lots of projects on the go. Anyone who knows me knows I oversubscribe to things sometimes, and I'm trying to just balance it. But I just want to be creative. I really believe in the power of stories, in the power of parables, or of stories guide us, and stories make us question things, and the really good ones, which we all remember and know, are really difficult to. They look easy, but they've taken people that have written them really skilled. Yeah. And if even in any part of my life I get to a point where I influence someone with the story I tell or something that I do, then I feel like I've done something. And I don't want it to sound heavy. No. And Frankie Boas has said, and he may not believe this anymore because he says lots of things he doesn't believe, that he believes that we are shamanistic in the sense that comedians our job is to provoke in a shamanistic kind of way. Right. To actually take the brunt of the criticism, because people need to know this is the way the human mind thinks. And I think there's a certain truth to that, in the sense that people do look to storytellers, musicians, artists, even potters, and people that are doing other forms of craft to guide us. Yeah, and almost craft something that then projects stuff that goes on inside ourselves, that then helps people make sense of it. It makes sense of life, I suppose. Well, I didn't get the chance to go. There was an exhibit of Celtic culture at the museum in London recently, and it was the biggest collection ever of Celtic culture. And they were showing, most of us know Roman culture, Greek culture, and Celtic culture is lost, as has the language been lost, the main culture. They still have these remnants, and all of them, the same thing is true. There are stories in like little figures around all the bowls, and everything has got everything that they make is attached to a story, and remembering a story and those stories are the same story over and over again that guides us, which is that this is how things work, and this is these little stories. So I kind of like that. I'm lucky that I'm in a industry I can explore that for myself. But that sounds all highfalutin. In the end, my motivation is just to try and find. We'll never really know the meaning of life, but we can explore it. And try and help other people and make ourselves content with what we've got. Yeah, that's so interesting. Phil, amazing. Thank you so much, brother. Really appreciate that. Tony. Oh, it's okay. It sounds a bit highfalutin, but I loved it. I didn't mean it. I mean it. I'm in it for the money. I'm here to make cash, so send me your